Welcome back. So we're pretty much ready to route the board. There's just one thing I need to do that I kind of forgot, is we're actually going to mirror the header pins. So right now they're actually technically going to be facing upward on the board, but we're going to plug this into an Arduino Uno, so we need them to be on the bottom of the board. Again, it doesn't really matter because it just depends on where you solder the pins, and it turns out that these pins, when they're mirrored, are pretty much the same. If it was a 2D device, then the mirror would have made a difference. So these are all mirrored on the bottom, and we'll see that later when we show it in Fusion. Now let's go ahead and start routing. And of course, we're always going to start with our polygon on the top and the bottom, but I'll just start making the first one on the top. Draw around the board. I'm going to draw a little bit outside because we don't have perfect divisions here. And then we're going to call it ground, and then I'll actually line this up perfectly. And I'm going to copy it and then put it right on top of it and then change its layer to bottom. So we have a ground on both the top and the bottom. Let's do rats, and we can see we have some of our ground connections. So we didn't get rid of a ton here, but I'm going to clear it up a little bit. Now let's go for some of the easy pins. Route 6 mil, reset to the capacitor, and then the other pin is the ground. With our LED, we can route this. Want to line it up a little bit better. It's off by division. Eagle does this when we transfer over. So I'm going to move it just a little bit. I'm going to route it, move it up a little bit. This is probably off a tiny bit too. Want to make sure this is lined up as best as possible. Route 6 mil. And then these are probably off too. Again, it doesn't matter too much. Pretty much to 1 decimal place is where I want it to be because that's what the division of our grid is. And then let's keep routing. So let's route the power. It's going to be 10 mil, 5 volt down to here. Want to route 6 mil to the LED. Probably could just route 10 mil too, but just to show that the LED is not going to be taking much power. These aren't too, but I like to make my power rails thicker when I can. Good. Now let's route some of our signals. 6 mil, MOSI. Miso. Alright, and then our last one is the slave select. And then we actually won't ever be able to make it here. We could try and go around, but this would be close. We'd have to make the board bigger. So I'm just gonna route this one last signal at the bottom. Kind of makes it uneven to me, but you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. Cool, that should be it. So rats, DRC. We got no errors in the bottom. If you do have errors, just fix them as appropriate. And that sums it up for routing the board. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some of our labels. So just before we do our labels, I actually noticed a small problem with our existing labels. So these labels are actually on the measures layer, which is not going to show up when we print our board. So we want to change that. So we're going to do change layer T-place. T-place is what will show up on the top, and we're going to click on all of them. Careful not to click on the wires because you could change those. And then let's just double check one of the pins. It is on T-place, and we'll see it later when we check it on Arcatek if that shows up, which is why Arcatek and Fusion are such great debugging tools. We want to add our ATtiny programmer label, text ATtiny programmer. Let's make it really big, maybe like 20% ratio, and I want to make it top left so I can line it up here in the corner. Good. And then on the bottom of the board, we're going to do another ATtiny programmer, except we want to be on B place, which will flip it over for us. And then I'm actually going to make this bottom left align, and we'll line it up with this the best we can, or at least in terms of height. And then we're going to put what revision number we're on. So we're on revision 1. Want to make it not as big, not as important. We'll line it up here. And then I want to put designed by Mr. Swirly Eyes. And I want to add my logo, or my trademark. I want to put it on the bottom. That looks good. Great. So this is pretty much our entire ATtiny board. Hopefully you guys enjoy this project. If you want, stick around. I'm actually going to do a bonus video where I show you guys what everything looks like in Fusion and how to get this into Arcatek so you can see how much your board costs and actually what it's going to look like if you decide that you want to print this, or so you can get in the hang of doing it for other projects. So the ATtiny programmer, not the most flashy of projects. However, it's a very powerful tool, especially if you want to make your own standalone product or project and you want to program smaller chips instead of using an Arduino Uno all the time as your actual board for your project. The Arduino Uno is great as a development board, so you develop your project and then usually you want to program an ATtiny, an Atmega, or some other chip so that it does all your heavy lifting, and then you can use your Arduino to develop your next project. So I'll see you guys in the next video if you want to go see what that bonus material is like. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys for the next project. See you, nerds.